If you are going to freeze up there, freeze with mortar in your hands.
I heard wheels outside.
There are always wheels outside.
Not cartwheels. Something bigger. Moving slow.
Get down from there.
Manuel.
I am not discussing your curiosity with you at this hour. Down!
Constantinople had survived for 11 centuries by doing one thing better than anyone who came against it. It made enemies tired before it made them dead. Moats, outer walls, inner walls, towers, sea, chain, layer after layer, each one built to cost an attacker time he could not afford. By 1453, that old arithmetic had become dangerous. The city had perhaps 7,000 fighting men for a defensive circuit of land and sea walls that stretched for miles. Behind those walls lived tens of thousands of civilians. Long sections could be watched, patched, and prayed over. They could not all be strongly held. Help had been promised from Venice, from Genoa, from a pope whose help was tangled with the old demand for church union. Some help came, a handful of ships, a few hundred soldiers, a Genoese captain named Giovanni Giustiniani, who arrived with more men than most and stayed longer than he had to. It was not enough, and everyone with a map already knew it. Outside the city, Sultan Mehmed had brought an army several times larger than the force defending it. He had also brought engineers, road builders, gunners, and a weapon large enough to make 1,000 years of stone begin to feel temporary.
You are late.
The wall kept me.
The wall drinks before children do.
If you can stand, you can carry.
He has carrying.
Then he can carry again.
I only came for bread.
Then stand here and be useful.
The Golden Age of Constantinople had produced marble, mosaics, and a legal code that outlived the empire that wrote it. By 1453, it produced another kind of arithmetic. How much bread could last how many days? How many buckets a family could carry before someone had to stop carrying and start fighting? Nobody in the market needed a lecture on siege warfare. They used smaller words. Thin, late, not yet.
How long will this hold? If the wall is lucky, a day. Then we buy a day. With what? With men, if stone refuses.
Is it bad?
It is work.
That means yes.
Nothing yet. Then nothing is honest.
There is still time. For a city, perhaps. Not for an empire.
Constantine XI had not inherited the empire of Justinian. He inherited the remainder, a city, a title, a name that still called itself Roman, because no one inside the walls knew how to call it anything else. He had been crowned far from the capital, in Mistras, in the Peloponnese, an image of how much the empire had contracted before the final siege even began. And yet the name still did work. Roman, not sentiment, obligation. Everyone inside those walls, soldier, baker, nun, child, understood without needing to be told that they were standing in the last room of an old house and the door was theirs to hold or lose.
Still holds.
Could they cut it?
They could try. Men have tried harder things at this chain and gone home shorter than they arrived.
A call for the wall! You must come!
The wall is calling.
You have chosen to go to the wall.
The gun is ready. Then we wait.
Wait for what?
For the signal.
Hold your position. Do not fire until I give the word.
I understand, Commander. I am ready.
They are unleashing the cannon! Brace for impact! mud is swallowing the wheels. We cannot stop now, sir. It moves like a mountain, but it is coming.
Mehmed II was 21 years old. That detail is often treated like decoration. It was not. Every commander in his camp, men who had served his father and his father's father, understood how quickly a young sultan's ambition could turn into a story told at his expense. Not a tragedy, a joke. The boy who marched an army to Constantinople and came home with nothing but spent grain, dead men, and a damaged reputation. So this was never only a siege of a city, it was also a test of whether Mehmed's command could survive the attempt. In that camp, among men twice his age, who had not chosen him so much as inherited him, failure and youth were ready to become the same word. The wall did not fall. That should have been comfort. It was not. A fallen wall gives a city an answer. A wounded wall gives it a question. Nikitas picked up the hammer because his hand needed something solid. But the solid thing around him had changed. Stone still stood. Faith in the stone did not. Constantinople had waited for help. No one came. Now it had heard the first answer from the other side of the field. Not victory, not defeat, a warning. The next time the guns spoke, every man inside the city would listen differently. And on the Ottoman side, the men who had dragged that weapon through mud were still waiting to learn what reaching the wall had cost them. You just watched a wall learn that stone can be wounded. On Zero to Now, history is not a list of dates. It is the moment people realize the world they trusted has already changed. A queen trades a prisoner for power. A mint worker feels an empire become a coin. A mother watches one son erase another. A young sultan drags a gun through mud until 1,000 years of stone begins to listen. These are not distant stories. They are pressure points. The decisions, betrayals, inventions, ambitions, and disasters that turn the past into the world we live in now. Every episode follows one question: what changed? Who paid for it? And why are we still living inside the answer for history that feels alive, dangerous, and human? Subscribe to Zero to Now. The next story is already moving.